Welcome to our webinar. We're hosting a series of webinars on mobile apps creation using Snappy Cloud Database. Today you will learn how to utilize Snappy Cloud Database, create data sources, collect data, store data locally on a device, send data as PDF files to anybody. Using our native features, you will be able to create apps that have a unique look and feel, no programming skills required. At the end of the webinar, you will be able to ask questions. To ask a question, please use the questions box on the webinar panel. When you first register on our website, you are offered to start making your first app. You try any pre-built app that you can copy to your account, customize and test. Or you create an app from scratch. Either way, Snappy What You See is What You Get visual editor will open. Here you can start creating a brand new app or modify a ready-made app. To the left from the iPhone canvas, you see App Settings, Icons, Splash Screen, Colors and Fonts, App Information, various app settings, sign-up email that your app users will receive if they register in your app. User management means role-based access to the app. You can control who has access to your app content with this user management setting, so you can create apps that use authentication and have role-based access. PayPal settings, if your app utilizes product list, shopping cart, donations or other payments. Once you set up the app name, icon and basic color theme, you can save the app here. Now you can start filling it out with content. To the right from the iPhone canvas, you see tabs, buttons, and fields. Tabs, also known as pages, are placed at the bottom of the iPhone screen. Buttons are dragged and dropped on the tabs, and fields are added to the forms and calculators. When you add a new tab, you see that you can change its title, its name, and specify your icon. Tabs can only be black and white. You can upload your own icon from computer. As for buttons, they can take any shape, form. You can specify your icon either with a predefined one from library or uploading your own from computer or finding in the internet. You can set up buttons look, its height, width. To preview your app, you need to save it first, and then you need to download Snappy Preview app from the stores. Then you need to log in with your Snappy credentials and view your apps. Today let's create an app that collects data on fire inspection, for example. Such an app is used by fire inspectors who have to deal with lots of paperwork. Making a mobile app for them will help them keep all the forms in one place, edit, delete, email them. First of all, we need to create a simple Excel spreadsheet that would contain fields to collect various data. Open Excel file and insert the headers. Please keep in mind that this Excel spreadsheet will only be used as a data container. It will connect to the actual form in the app and help display the data. Put the headers in the Excel spreadsheet without spaces or symbols. These headers will not be displayed in the app. They will only be used as data index. Once you insert the headers, save the spreadsheet and then open this data source dialog. Click Upload Data and select the saved spreadsheet. a table will open. You need to name this data source, match the fields from the Excel file with the way they will be displayed in the app. For example, name is text, date is date, signature is image, and so on. Save the data source and close the dialog. Now drag and drop Universal Form button. Put a name in here. If you put a name in the label will be displayed under the button. If you leave this field blank, you can insert its name in the title. Specify your icon. I will upload my own. Set up the size. Submit by data source. Here you need to specify the data source you have just uploaded. Submit by email. Here you specify if you need to send the submitted data to the predefined email address. And then choose the format. For example, PDF, spreadsheet, or email body. Submit by web post means that if you're using your own service to collect data, configure your element. For example, choose if you want to close the form after submit. Time settings and paging. You can add paging if you have a large form and would like to show form submission progress to your app user. Click OK. Now drag and drop the form fields here. You see there are lots of fields that are available. They all have different purposes. We will be using text, date, multi-choice, and signature fields. Let's insert date. We have matched the column from the data source that would display the date. So in this select field, it is already selected here. It's just one date that we have in our case. So we're choosing if the field is required or not and inserting a placeholder. So when the inspector opens this form, he will read what he needs to fill out in the placeholder. Now let's add inspector name. It will be text. It is required. In my Excel spreadsheet, the column is called inspection done by. Placeholder will be the same. OK. The department number. The department number is number, so I'm choosing number here. Department. And this way we keep filling out this space with all the fields that we need. Another cool feature that we can add is the ability to send this very form to a specified email address, but not to the one we set up in the settings, but allow app user to specify the email of his own. So we are adding another text element and put a name, copy email, for example. Data type will be email address, and the field, copy email. Just make sure you have the appropriate field in your data source and save. This is our form. So when the inspector fills out the report, it will not only go to the predefined email address, but also he can send a copy to himself, for instance. The reports can also be stored locally on a device. To enable this feature, we need to add Advanced List. Make sure you match it with the same exact data source that was in the previous form. Again, specify your icon. I'm uploading my own. Security. This means who has access to edit the entered data. By default, there are 3 user types: anonymous, logged in, and app reviewer. You can add more roles in the user management settings that I showed you previously. They are to the left from the iPhone canvas. List view, how the data is displayed. Templates or custom view. Sorting, search, and filters if you need to sort or search for the information. Sharing settings if you need to send this report to somebody else. Monthly inspection. You can decide how to name the button, the messages that are sent. Configure your element. Okay. Now, to make all the data go to the stored, we need to set up the cell and detail view. For example, I want the cell view to show the date the form was submitted. So what I need to do is put a field, I'll call it date. Here are the typical text settings that we use in font size, alignment, color, font. In this column source, we will leave it constant because this word date will stay the same for us. In our case, it will not be changed, so it's just date. And next to it, I'm putting the amount of text. I just need to figure out approximately the amount of text that would be needed to display date. And I'm taking this date from the data source. That's how these fields will be connected. So each time the inspector fills out the form, once it's sent, it is stored in the stored forms, and the date will be displayed in here since we tied the data source. Now the detail view. So basically what we are doing is we are adding the text fields that will display the type of data that we're using. Inspector name, for example, it will always be the same. And next to it, the text field that shows the actual inspector name entered in the form. So we need to bind the source from our data source dialog. And we just continue with the same information as we have in the form. We had department number that will be displayed here. Department number, and so on and so on. So for example, let's fill out this form. Let's insert the date, name of department, location, inspector name, and then our multi-choice list. Yes, no, and send a copy to. And click submit. You see the message that the data was submitted successfully. Now we will find it under my reports in the stored forms here. We set up to receive a copy of this form as a PDF file, and this is the PDF that we will receive. This is the icon from our app. This is the form name, username and user email since we are logged in, date, and different informations that we entered. You can design the stored forms to look really appealing. In our case, I'm using the squares to show yes or no. The square is just an image that I drew in Photo Redactor. You can try to see how it works for you. Just open the Preview app, fill out the form, click Submit button, then open the stored forms, and you will find your form there, like I showed you. Let's see what can be done with these elements. I have created 5 different forms that can be stored separately here on device. All these forms go stored in here. I use the background image. See, it's added first, and then I just dragged and dropped the universal forms, then the fields, and did the same for the stored reports. This is the advanced lists. Snappy Cloud Database allows our users to operate any amount of data. You can create apps that connect to Snappy Cloud Database or your internal IT systems. Besides, Snappy offers pre-built templates for connectors to such databases as Salesforce, MailChimp, Twitter, SoundCloud, Vimeo, and more. The Snappy platform is very flexible and we continue adding new features. We have detailed user manual, tutorials, frequently asked questions, chat, and are now adding a support forum. After working on your app for a while, you can get great results. Just preview your work on your device. You will see how using tabs, buttons, and elements you can create a totally custom app. Now let's turn to questions and answers. To ask a question, please use questions box on the webinar panel. The first question that I see is, will the apps I create fill the iOS 7 user interface? Yes, they will. Can you set the date field to auto-populate to the current date? Yes, you can. Can I make apps for tablets or only iPhones? You can make apps for smartphones and tablets. Do you support BlackBerry? No, we don't. Are these apps essentially web-based? No, I was just showing you a web app example. To preview your app on a native device, you need to download it from Apple or from Google Store. Download our Snappy Preview app, log in with your Snappy credentials, and view your apps. Do these apps have to go through the Apple App Store? If you need to submit them to the Apple App Store or Google Play, you can submit your apps from the editor. You just click Submit Publish to Apple App Store, then enter your credentials, and we take care of the rest. If you don't want to submit them, you don't have to. Do I need an Apple iOS developer license? Yes, you do. Is the fire inspection app available for us to look at and review to better understand as we develop our own? Yes, sure. You can just open Snappy Ready Apps, scroll down, find Fire Inspection app. You see the screenshots, the features, benefits, related apps, and here you see I will customize the app myself. If you click it, it copies the app right to your account. If you want to request a customized app, you click these buttons and we help you do it. Same with Contact Us. The next question. So, as you said earlier, in order to create a static field for cell view, you should drop the text element, not the field. And then, if I want the data from data source, just use the same text element. It just needed to be connected to the data source. Is that correct? Yes, that is correct. Other questions? This webinar session is being recorded, so each of you will receive a link so you can, so to say, refresh what we have discussed, and it will help you create your apps. Okay, I see the next question. Can I use the font that's not listed in your library? No. However, you can write the text in the font needed in the photo redactor and place it as the image in our app. Question. Can I connect to my own web service? Yes, sure, you can. Other questions? If you come up with any questions, feel free to send them to support@snappy.com. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Thanks, guys, for attending. Hope you found this webinar useful. Like I said, please feel free to email us your questions. Thank you all for attending. Bye.